Okay, I'd like to call the conservation meeting of August 12th, 2020 to order. Due to the recent open meeting law set forth by the governor during the current state of emergency, this meeting will be virtual. And I'm going to repeat this a number of times throughout because I cannot post the telephone number. So the call-in number for the public is 978-771-0819. Okay. First item on the agenda is the reorganization of the committee. Gentlemen, can I have a nomination for chairman?
I nominate Mr. Holland for chairman, please.
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor? It's a roll call vote, so we're going to have to go with Mr. McMullen. How do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair should vote no. I know I should. Chair votes out as well.
You
Okay, I entertain a motion for vice chair.
I nominate Daniel Rowan for vice chair.
Second.
Okay, you good with that, Daniel?
I am.
Okay, Mr. Ronan, Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
I should have taken your advice, but I will also vote aye.
Run.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, we need a nomination for clerk.
I nominate James McMullen, please.
Chair will second that. Okay, Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
I'll vote aye.
Okay, Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next on the agenda is appointments of committee members. Committee, appointment of the Community Preservation Committee representative designee. I was on it last year. I will take it again this year. And I don't think we need a motion for that. I think we just appoint people. Stefania, am I correct?
I don't know for sure. I forget what we did last year.
I think it's just the chairman appoint or ask for volunteers. And like I said, I'll take the Community Preservation Committee. We also need a representative for local housing partnership. Any volunteers?
I'll volunteer, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, who's volunteering? Mr. McMullen, congratulations. Stefania, can you take care of that in the morning and make sure that they're aware that Mr. McMullen is taking that spot? Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Did you? What did you ask?
Can you take care of that in the morning and make sure
Yes.
that we haven't had the representative for the local housing partnership in a couple of years? Okay, now I'm gonna make I didn't get any minutes in my packet. Did anybody get minutes?
No minutes were provided.
Okay, no minutes were provided, so we're gonna skip over that. And now we're gonna go to item A. It's a continued public hearing from 7/15/2020. Public hearing, notice of intent, Vegetation Enterprises Incorporated, 2512 Main Street, map 94, lot 61, DEP 3051111. Is there anyone here for that?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chairman. Jim Hanley, Civil Design Consultants.
Okay.
I asked you to allow me to share my screen, and I can kind of walk you through what we've achieved over the last few weeks. So I trust you can see my screen right now. So basically what my goal here tonight to do is to kind of give you an update on the project since the last meeting, and essentially and ultimately ask you to close the hearing and approve the project. So to get there, what I want to do is kind of walk through where we stand. There's been a lot of talk about our impacts within the buffer zone, so we'll re-summarize those and re-update those. And then I will summarize all of the elements of the improvements provided by this project. So just to give you a recap, 2512 Main Street, we're here in front of you for a notice of intent application. This is the Hobart's country store located down in South Tewksbury. It's a liquor/convenience store. We've got about 1.2 acres in area, and we have a lot of frontage. We've got about 200 plus feet of frontage along Main Street. And what we're proposing to do tonight is a 4,295 square foot building, maintain the existing use, which would be liquor/convenience store, provide 17 parking spaces in front of the building and provisions for landscaping, dumpsters, drainage, and utilities. So what have we accomplished or achieved since the last time we met? So this sketch that is in front of you here essentially itemizes the proposal as it was the last time we presented to your commission. So you can see that we have on-site drainage, which is this blue area here. We have some impacts within the 25 feet. We talked to you about those previously. We also were proposing to replace in kind the existing DPW/DOT/municipal line with the same size pipe diameter, wrap it around the proposed building on the right side. But you'll notice here that we did not have any buffer for that piece of the project. The Friday before the Conservation Commission hearing, I got some new comments from DPW. That resulted in us postponing or continuing the planning of the last conservation hearing. The specific comment was with regard to what we do with the existing pipe and how we account for that. So we began working with DOT as well as DPW, and we produced this plan dated July 22nd, 2002. What this plan shows and what our intention was to reroute our on-site drainage around the right side of the building, and then essentially abandon this whole line, core into this existing manhole at an elevation that would allow it to discharge. Right now we have a system out there where this existing pipe is actually buried in the ground about 5 feet. It just doesn't work. It doesn't do what it's proposed to do. And I know you got a letter earlier today from DPW. They provided some background on why that might be. But at the end of the day, it doesn't work. So what we're trying to do was provide an improvement to an existing system that results in localized flooding around the property in improvement. We proposed this. We got an acceptance from DOT with a couple of minor modifications. They wanted to see this blue pipe out of their easement. And we essentially were able to address all of the technical comments. We received an email last Monday from DPW, I think it was last Monday from DPW, which they asked us to take the blue line, which is our on-site discharge pipe that drains our infiltration system and catch basins in front, put it over on the left-hand side where it was previously. So we had a discussion, myself and Mr. Hartman and DPW went back and forth on email, and I tried to explain that by doing that, we'll have an increase from this plan here, from the previous plan, because we'll now have to have the blue pipe on the left-hand side. Apparently, and I think Mr. Hartman's on the line here, but apparently the concern was long-term maintenance and how they're able to make improvements to that system if and when they need it. So understood, okay, we made the point, we're directed now to put the drainage on the left-hand side of the building that discharges the on-site system. So this is the plan that we submitted to you that addresses both DOT, DPW comments, and as a result of that, I have an additional 425 square feet of impacts within inside the 25-foot buffer. Now, if you can imagine what's going on here, the only reason we have this impact here is because this pipe is about 4 feet below the ground. So what we need to do is we need to basically lift the elevation of this outlet pipe to an elevation that'll allow it to drain toward the wetland. That means we have to basically have the outlet of this pipe at an elevation that can eventually get into the wetland area. And to do that, we need to pull back this 99 contour a little bit. It creates about 425 square feet of impacts, additional impacts in that 25-foot buffer. But we've been able to do it. So that is that's how the plan has evolved since the last time we spoke. And now I'd like to just take a couple of minutes and summarize the impacts to the whole site. So this here is an ortho photo of the existing site. The big blue fat line here is the limits of the 50-foot no-build buffer. So we basically have three things we're looking at. We're looking at direct wetland impacts, which we don't have any of. Then we're looking at your local bylaw with regard to the 25-foot buffer. So the 25-foot buffer here, you can see this existing line, the black line with the blue label here. The total area inside of this on our site is about 3,820 square feet. Now, I think it's pretty clear from this photo, and I know we've discussed this in the past, but there's significant disturbance. The area is almost completely degraded. By our measurements, about 80% of the existing 25-foot buffer is degraded. That's about 3,050 square feet of the 3,820 square feet. You can see that we have a beach volleyball court, fencing related to that, and then they're regularly maintaining a lawn in that area. So that's the second area. The third area would be the area that is considered the 50-foot no-build zone. As you can see, and I think it's pretty clear here, the entire 50-foot between 50 and 25 is degraded. The 50-foot in and of itself is 91% degraded. So if we look at the entire blue line here, 91% of the area currently within that 50-foot is degraded. We have a shed, we have a volleyball court, we have lawn, we have parking area, we have dumpsters, we have fence. And I'd also kind of note, and I'm going to touch on this at the conclusion, but you can see that there's a lot of debris that ends up discharging or traveling with the drainage, with the runoff, because there's nothing actually controlling it here. It just basically goes overland. This is high, this is low, goes down to the parking lot, and discharges eventually into the wetland. There's absolutely no stormwater management whatsoever. So, proposed, we put this sketch, and I do want to point out here that I don't have the pipe discharges in this area. But this shows on the surface what this would look like, right? So again, we don't have any impacts, direct impacts existing in the wetland. We're not proposing any impacts. We don't have any impacts in the wetlands. Inside that 25-foot, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to remove the beach volleyball court, the fencing, and the maintained lawn. We're going to restore this with a seed mix and planting, and we're going to provide plantings along the 25-foot buffer, as well as Bernstein markers. And everything inside of this 25-foot, with the exception of the two pipes that we talked about previously, is going to be preserved in perpetuity. We're not to have to maintain, and that could be a condition of the approval. So the permanent proposed impacts within the 25-foot, they consist of minor grading activities and riprap to allow the two drainage pipes. Our on-site system, if we go back a couple here, you can see is 200 square feet plus or minus in order to put this riprap apron in and regrade a little area so we can just discharge it out. Keep in mind that the actual pipe is outside of the 25 foot. So it's really just grading items in this area. as well as 425 square feet of impacts of grading, again, because the head wall is outside, to allow for the municipal/DOT system to function properly. So we have a total of 625 square feet, or plus or minus 16% of the buffer. To put that into perspective, that's plus or minus 3 parking spaces, right? So we don't have an enormous amount of impact in that area, but I need to be able to allow these pipes to drain out. And this is really the only way we can do it due to the elevation of the roadway in front of it, with the system that we have to be able to discharge out. So now inside that 50 foot, I want to take another look at that. So inside the 50 foot, we have an area, again, a total area, 8,973 square feet. I have a building footprint area, and I highlighted this green in here. It's 873 square feet. So it's slightly less than the allowable amount in the bylaw that's allowed with your approval. So we do meet that. The only other impacts inside of that 50 foot now is a sidewalk to allow the fire department walking access behind the building. It was a request that they made that we did provide. So to kind of summarize the 50 foot impact, we currently have 91% of this 50 foot area disturbed. When we get done with this, we'll have 24%. So we literally have a reduction of almost more than 6,000 square feet in disturbed area. So we really made an attempt here to restore everything as much as humanly possible. So to recap on the summary specific to the buffers, no direct wetland impacts, 80% reduction of disturbed area in the 25 foot when we're done, 74% reduction of disturbed area in the 50. I just can't see how this could be viewed any other way than a significant improvement to the existing site. So with that being said, I need like 2 more minutes here just to kind of go through the improvements that we are providing. Currently, 91% of the 50 foot buffer is currently degraded. This existing pipe that the system in Main Street relies on to function properly is buried and clogged, and it's not functioning as intended. There's ponding issues in Main Street because that pipe is buried. There's also no stormwater treatment whatsoever on the site. The site just simply predates any kind of stormwater management controls that are in place right now. So if we talk about the proposed, so those are the things that we're correcting that are currently existing. So if we talk about the proposed a little bit, I think it's really important to take one step back here and realize that we've made this site work with an additional 900 square feet of impervious surface. So the site is already developed. We have an additional 900 square feet of impervious surface. And again, to put that into perspective, that's like 4 parking spaces worth of impervious surface. So we've really been able to kind of reconfigure this development to provide a bigger building, absolutely, because that's what these existing businessmen in Tewksbury need, and comply with current standards for stormwater as well as zoning and your conservation regulations. If we did take that 900 square feet out, the project would be considered a redevelopment project. And therefore we have to comply with the maximum extent practical. I don't think that makes sense for anybody. I think this is a better product with a little bit more impervious surface than currently is there right now. Not to mention that we only have 24,000 square feet of impacts on the entire site. So of all the projects that I've come before you guys on, this might be, to me, as little impact that I see in the biggest benefit that I've seen in many of the projects that I brought to you. We're not disturbing any natural areas. Everything is degraded in here. What we're disturbing is already degraded. And if it isn't being touched by development, we're restoring So that's another significant improvement. Despite what has been provided to the board, the applicant has significantly reduced the building. When we came in front of you guys in the, I believe it was late fall of last year, we had two concepts. One concept, I believe, showed 5,500 square feet, and the other one showed 5,000 square feet. Either way, it was more than what we have right now, which is less than 4,300 square feet. That's almost a 15% reduction. So the applicant has reduced the size of the building to try to work with all of these different town departments. We've also done the hard work on this. We've had a couple of preliminary meetings. We met with the town in preliminary form. We've been through a number of planning board hearings. And I know you're probably sick of seeing me on this one here because we've been in front of you guys a couple of times. But we've also petitioned and were provided a variance from the Board of Appeals. And let's see. No, I won't go there. But essentially to allow the setbacks on the side to be a little bit less than what is required, more than what is currently there, and provide a better development. 74% reduction in disturbance within the 50-foot, 80% reduction in disturbance within the 25-foot. We're going to provide a functioning municipal discharge pipe supported by both DPW and DOT. We're going to reduce or eliminate the localized ponding in Main Street. And now we have the stormwater management system that fully complies with all the standards. We address water recharge. We address water quality. We actually have a slight decrease in offsite peak discharge of about 10% for up to and including the 100-year storm. So I hope I provided like a decent summary for you to kind of get up to speed about what's transpired over the last 6 weeks or so. Hopefully the summary with regard to our impacts in the buffer and why we think this is a reasonable request and why we'd really like to see it approved tonight. Before I end though, there's a couple of things that I'd like you to keep in mind as you're considering this application. One of the challenges we have here is that we have to achieve a balance. I can't only design to address one board's concerns, right? We have conservation, you guys, we have planning board, we have the Board of Appeals, we have the fire department, we have DPW, DOT, and DEP. So I have a lot of masters on this. This is a balanced project that we've been able to design and address a lot of existing issues with this design. We're also providing improvements in the form of cleaner stormwater, less impact near the wetlands, and improvements to the municipal drainage system. It also complies with the regulations with your support. So we know we have some impacts within the 25. We need you to be okay with that. And we do have some impacts in the 50 with the building. Again, it's less than the 10%. It's right at the 10%. It's something that's allowed under your bylaw. If we have good cause, I think what I've tried to do tonight is present our cause. And then I guess lastly, I just say that we've made every reasonable effort to reduce the impacts of this project by providing the restoration area, the Bernstein markers, the plantings, addressing the municipal type, working with DOT. We really made every possible effort to try to address everyone's concerns. So with that, I would turn it over, and if you have questions, I'll try to answer.
Okay, thank you. Stefania.
Yes.
Any issue?
Yes. I have a few things that I'd just like to bring up after that summary. So I know that the town engineer is here, so I'm not going to speak to his points in his letter, but he did provide a a letter just to kind of summarize where the engineering department is coming from about the drainage. So I will mention that the disturbance that is being discussed tonight, the existing, is unpermitted. So I understand that there may be less disturbance with this project, but the disturbance that's currently on site was never permitted by the Conservation Commission. A volleyball court was put in, and it was between, I think, 2014 and 2017, and I don't believe anyone came for an application to be approved for that. Also, I don't think that we can compare a structure that is being proposed in the no-build zone to the disturbance that's currently within the no-build zone. I think it's a huge difference to have a structure there rather than a small shed and a volleyball court, which, I mean, may allow some kind of stormwater to drain. I also want to note that I've issued 2 letters, and in both letters I do state that the designs do not comply with our bylaw. So they are looking for relief from our no-build zone, and then they're also encroaching in the no disturb zone. And our bylaw specifically says that the applicant shall demonstrate to the commission's satisfaction that construction activities and future uses of the site is not likely to result in intrusion into or alteration of the no disturb zone. Clearly, because there's encroachment with a structure in the no build zone, they are also encroaching in the no disturb zone. So it just doesn't comply. And then lastly, I don't know if a case has been made to why it's unavoidable and why it's not possible to scale down the size of the building. So that's all the points that I would like to make.
Board members. Mr. Sheehan?
Well, I know they've tried very hard to accomplish everything here. Kind of a tough call.
Mr. McMullen?
No questions at this point, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ronan?
So the current size of the building, what square footage is that?
Let's see here. I want to say it's like 1,500 square feet, give or take, but I don't know that number. It's in that magnitude.
So do you know how much of that is retail space?
It would be, yeah, that would be the retail space, the square footage of the first floor.
Of the first
So
floor?
we're absolutely increasing the impact. We're increasing the size of the building. But the building currently doesn't comply with zoning, right? So we're literally 3 feet off the side yard. We're 10 feet off the front yard. Our attempt here has been to comply as much as we can. That's really what we're trying to do here. And I understand there seems to be a big focus on reducing the size of the building footprint. I don't understand how it would improve the development. We need to have a certain depth in the building, which is plus or minus what it is, give or take 30 feet, give or take. So if you have a retail building that's 20 feet wide, it just functionally doesn't work. The building's been designed by an architect for a minimum width. Those plans have been provided to the town. Really is a minimum width. So now what we'd be doing is we'd be shrinking the width of it as opposed to the depth. The depth has to stay. So I'm not sure what that would accomplish. If we were to shrink the building, and if you don't mind, I just want to share this one more time. But if we were to shrink the building to get on the other side of this pipe, which is something hypothetically we could do, you wouldn't get the benefit of improving the existing system. You'd still have issues there. So it seems to me that this is a very reasonable request and compromise. So I understand the idea that you look at 1,500 feet versus 4,300 square feet. That's a big difference. Without a doubt it is. But we have an existing building that's way beyond its useful life. And there's realities of what a minimum development can look like in order for it to make any sense.
So wait, is there a minimum size of a building that has to be built per town bylaws?
No.
All right. So for the on-site drainage, was that specifically requested to be on the left side of that side of the building, or can it go any other place?
So that's what I tried to explain here, is that we had this plan that had them both on the right-hand side. Now this is as we're working through the process with both DOT and DPW. DOT essentially signed off on it. They didn't want to see an adjustment, so that the blue pipe was out of their easement, easy enough to do. We could figure that out. DPW has asked that the blue pipe remain on the left-hand side. So, we tried to explain the situation. That's where they wanted the pipe. That's the change that we made. We did provide that to you. Where I am is that you have an existing drain line that doesn't work. We have an attempt here to correct an existing problem, to cooperate with both the town and DOT. And the impact of that is 425 square feet inside that 25-foot no bill. I feel like we're being penalized potentially for attempting to address an existing problem, and it seems like this is a fair attempt at doing that.
If you decreased the size of the building, would you have more space for that on-site drainage, and would that decrease the size of the impact to the 25-foot no build zone?
So what drives, and actually I have a plan here, but what drives that is the elevation of the roadway and the fact that I have a catch basin here and I need to have a minimum amount of cover. So this catch basin's rim is relative to the roadway elevation. So we come out, we go into the catch basin, that rim is set basically to allow this site to drain. And I come out as high as I can out of this system. And by the time I get over to here, I'm at an elevation of 98.64. Well, unfortunately, the 25-foot buffer right there is plus or minus elevation 100.2. So I have to be able to discharge that pipe out. I really don't have any other options. And I think
increasing the space on that side of the building would not, have less impact to the 25-foot no build zone.
Right. So if we were to decrease,
I don't see how that's possible. That it being smaller, you would not have more space on one side.
So it's an elevation thing. So I guess maybe I could explain it a little bit better. So the size, the physical capacity of the system would shrink, but elevation-wise, I need still to get from the surface of my parking lot out to the drainage. And so by decreasing the size of this building, I'm not able really to adjust this other than by a couple of tenths. So I still have the issue. So if you were to look at this in profile, so this is what this looks like in profile. So if you were to cut a line down these pipes, and now you're looking at the sides of the pipes and the catch basins there, that's what this shows. That's what these two profiles show. So regardless of how much room I created over here, this pipe right here is still coming out of that catch basin at this elevation. and it's still going to need to discharge somewhere around 98.6. So for me to get drainage from here over to here, I need to be able to, I have to be able to cut into that 25. This is something we've done on other sites. And it's always been like we have a vertical issue that we're trying to discharge, and I can't change the elevation of Route 38, and I can't change the elevation of the wetland, and I have to have a minimum amount of cover over my pipe in order to satisfy the regulation and for it to be really buildable. And we've really kind of like maxed out these elements.
All right, I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. And one is, on your little picture there, where is the building going to be sitting on the volleyball court, or is
No.
that away from the volleyball court?
No, we're well away from the volleyball.
Okay.
So the volleyball courts right now basically are this area here. And so the back, so if you look at the back of the pavement here, the volleyball court might start 15 feet in from there. And you can
Okay.
kind of see. So we're basically, the backside of our building, basically the backside of that volleyball court, the side furthest away from the middle.
Okay. The other question I had was when you came to us, I think it was in December, with the original plans, and we kind of, I thought we had this conversation that we wanted to distribute the 10% kind of evenly, and it does not look even to me there.
Right.
And I think I brought this up a lot.
Mhm. So
And
if I could, Mr. Chairman, I put this letter together dated May 11th. I think I goofed the date because I think it was actually provided in June. But the total purpose of this letter was to address that comment that you had made, and try to explain how the building is where it is. And at the end of the day, I don't have any ability to move the building up. I have no ability. I have to balance the fire department's turning radius. I have maybe a foot, give or take, in between the limit of that vehicle moving through the site. I have the parking stall. I have 4.5 feet of sidewalk. And then I have the building. You know, the building's been architecturally designed to have a minimum depth from one side to the other. I don't have, I can't shift anything up. And if I could, or tilt it or move it, I would. I can't do it. You have a 50-foot minimum building setback. And if we can't provide that, we have to explain it to you. We have to seek your support. So that was my attempt with this letter. One way to look at this is it's required to be 50 feet. I have a minimum distance, but there's one spot that I believe it's 33.3 or something along those lines. The average depth, the average separation, which I think is a decent gauge, is 42 feet. So from the back of that building, the average depth to the closest portion of the wetland line is plus or minus 42 feet. It's actually a hair over. Believe me, if there was a way I could, create, move, wave my magical wand and have this work out some additional way, it's really difficult to move, to make that building any less deep. And I can't move it up anymore. And we're literally right there. I believe we got DPW's letter today, and I won't speak for him, but there was no other technical comments other than describing the impacts within the buffer. We have them. I know the improvements in that area were not permitted. We're trying to fix that situation now. That's kind of where we stand.
okay. Now, Stefania, You said they weren't in compliance with the bylaw. If this structure was approved, what would be in violation?
So, correct. So in our bylaw, it states that we do allow a 10% encroachment, but they have to show that the construction activities and future uses is not likely to result in intrusion into the no build zone, no disturb zone. So they are encroaching in the no build zone, but also the construction activities are impacting the no disturb zone. And I understand the elevation issues that he's speaking of. And yes, other projects have had the same issues, but other projects have not encroached in the no build zone as well. So, I mean, our bylaw says they have to show that they don't do that, and they don't show that.
So just so I can clarify, so your understanding then is that if we have a building that impacts into the 50-foot, that you can't have any impact inside the 25-foot?
That's what it says, that you have to demonstrate that construction activities, future uses of the site does not go into the no disturb zone.
So that's I guess that's a challenge from our perspective, because, you know, that's been on the plan, you know, since March. We've had minor impacts and we've had the building over. So that's why I've never put those two things together simultaneously.
Well, that comment is from, I mean, I made that letter back in the beginning of June. So keep in mind that this public hearing was continued without
Sure.
anyone coming to the board for a few months.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, this was when I commented on it because you came to the board in June.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
almost all of our projects enter into the 25-foot buffer to daylight. The pipes themselves.
Go run that by me again, then.
Most of our projects enter into the 25-foot buffer.
Well, I don't see a lot of the projects going into the 25-foot no disturb zone. I see we have projects that go to the 50-foot no build zone, but I don't remember. Well, number one, it has to be cleaned up and restored. I agree with Mr. Hanley on that. I'm not too comfortable with the building size being so close, because you said it was 40 feet from the building to the 25-foot no disturb zone, but it looks different to me.
No, so just to clarify that, no, it's not 25 feet to the no disturb zone. We're in the no build zone, right?
No build.
42 feet plus or minus on average is what we have.
So that one corner of the building, if you put your little green map up again, how far is that one corner of the building to the?
Sure. So that is the tightest spot, and I believe it's about 33 feet, give or take. And I have it right here. It's 32.5 feet. Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't present this to you, I wouldn't come this far if there were other alternatives. I guess I'd ask that if we had the same projects without the additional impacts of the DOT system, would that change your view on this? Because if it does, it's really, this is being by us providing these improvements, it's hurting us. We're trying to be good neighbors and we're trying to cooperate. There has to be impacts.
So I want to get back to Tanya on that bylaw. The bylaw states, are you there? Stefania?
Yeah.
The bylaw states that there's no impact on the 25 foot. I mean, it has to be restored as it is now.
I'm sorry, what?
The bylaw, what exactly does it state that you cannot do anything in the 25 foot no disturb zone?
Are you talking about with impacts to the no build zone?
Correct. Okay.
So yeah, I'll read it again. So, and this is section 18.04.30.7.2. When partial encroachment in the no build zone setback is unavoidable, the applicant shall demonstrate to the commission's satisfaction that construction activities and future uses of the site is not likely to result in intrusion into or alteration of the no disturb zone.
Okay, maybe I'm interpreting it a little different than everybody else. To me, it comes across that he's putting up the demarcation. He has to restore that area anyways, correct?
They're proposing to restore it.
And that's the kind of, I mean, the volleyball court and all that other stuff right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that has to be restored. So I don't see, I'm trying to interpret this bylaw and I don't have it right in front of me. You are gonna have demarcation.
So that's a third. There's 3 guidelines that have to be followed when encroachment into the no build zone setback is unavoidable. Do you want me to read all 3?
Yep.
Okay. Number 1, encroachment shall not exceed 10% of the total area of the no build zone setback for the lot. Number 2, the applicant shall demonstrate to the commission's satisfaction that construction activities and future use of the site is not likely to result in intrusion into or alteration of the no disturb zone. And number 3, the commission may require that permanent and visible demarcation of the no disturb zone is established and maintained in perpetuity so that current and future landowners are aware of the no disturb zone.
I believe that he's met all, he's under 10% in the no build zone, correct?
Correct.
He has a demarcation going up.
Yes.
Okay, and what was the middle one you read to me there?
That's the one that I mentioned in my letters. So the applicant shall demonstrate to the commission's satisfaction that construction activities and future use of the site is not likely to result in intrusion into or alteration of the no disturb zone.
Okay, I think that comes under the demarcation also. All right, Mr. Hartman, do you have any? Hello?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a few comments. I'm
Just
not sure if,
so we have you on the record.
Kevin Hartman, Town Engineer. So I'm not sure if the commission had a chance to review the letter I had submitted to Stefania earlier today. You know, I just want it noted that we've been trying to work with the applicant on this. You know, we do have provisions to protect the town drainage system. And this is an instance where, you know, they have to request a permit for us to alter the drainage system. And that's something that the director could have denied. But we're trying to work with the applicant on it to come to a resolution. I'll note that when this was brought before us, the proposed building was 4,500 square feet on the conceptual plan, and hasn't changed much since then. So, you know, I feel that if the building was made smaller, there would be a possibility to put both the private system and the public system on the right side of the building, ensuring that as DOT required, which was a little misleading earlier, that DOT has not approved of the drainage on the right-hand side combined because it didn't show the blue line or the private system outside of the easement. But if the building was made smaller, the requirements of DPW would be met, the requirements of DOT could be met, and as well as the reduction in the impacts to the no-build zone would also be a possibility. One thing I'd like to note is in that letter I sent earlier today, it had a figure which was the Mass DOT layout for this area. I don't know if I can share my screen and bring that up. See if I can figure this out. Bear with me for a minute. Just
Okay,
trying
while
to
while you're doing that, I am going to reread the phone number for call-in, just because I'm
Oh,
going to be
of course.
978-771-0819. Okay.
All right. So can people see the Mass DOT layout plan on the
Yeah.
screen?
Is this the
Okay.
one from 1938?
Yes. So what you can see here in the middle is a one-story wooden store, which is the Hobart's Country Store building. And then to the south of that, you see the edge of swamp, which was the historic edge of that wetland. You know, so as you can possibly tell, that was historically filled by the owners of the property. It's not my understanding that the DPW installs drainage systems underground that don't drain, and I can't imagine DOT would do that either. So, you know, historically, the site has been filled in and our drainage system has been covered over, not as a result of our doing, and it's not something we would allow. You know, but we've tried to work with the applicant on finding a remedy to the situation. You know, like I said, the building size hasn't changed since the concept came in. And I feel that scaling back the building would be an improvement to the impacts on the site as well as the drainage system. You know, the one thing I will say is, you know, we're concerned with a combined system where we share a head wall, for example. What happens when that head wall needs to be replaced? Who's responsible for it? The private landowner or the town or the state? It just becomes a confusing situation. You know, so we like to have our system separate from private systems. And, you know, really, the other comment I'll make is we are still reviewing the plans that were submitted, and we'll be providing a final review letter by the end of the week to both the town planner and conservation agent. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the time. If there are any questions I can answer, I'd be happy to.
I have one question, and how much reduction in the building would be necessary through your eyes?
I'd say based on, and I don't know if Mr. Hanley could share the plan with the two pipes on one side of the building. You know, but based on that, I mean, it would be, you know, a 10 to 15 foot reduction in the size of the building on that right side. Would allow the private pipe to be placed outside of the easement from the public pipe, which was a requirement of DOT. And also allow for a head wall for each of those pipes. And then they could discharge into the same swale. That's fine, but it's just, you know, that physical system needs to be separated.
Okay. All right, this is a public hearing. I'm going to open up to the public. The number again is 978-771-0819. Let me know if anybody's on the line, Brian, and I'm going to refer back to Mr. Hanley.
We have no callers at the moment, Mr. Chairman, but as usual, we are about 30 to 45 seconds behind.
Okay. Mr. Hanley, any more comments?
Yeah, I would just I guess, two things. I lost connection during Kevin's presentation. But I do want to clarify that the DOT provided an email saying that that the design was satisfactory. They would let us go down with 10-foot easement, but they wanted to see the on-site drainage pipe removed. We can provide 5 to 7 feet between pipes. We can definitely provide an additional head wall. That's no problem at all. We can definitely do that. I don't see the reason why I would need to cut the building back 20 feet in order to provide 2 parallel pipes. We put pipes in roadways all the time that are within 5 to 7 feet. We could address it very easily in easements specific to drainage and who owns what and who is allowed access to do what. It seems to me that there's sufficient room right now to go on the right side, and I 100% respect DPW's comments. That's how they want to do it, then that's okay. But I don't see the need to reduce that building footprint. We can fit both of those pipes in there fine. We can put 2 different head walls in. And we were told by DOT that they believe the system was acceptable with some minor tweaks. So I don't think it was misleading.
Mr. Hartman, did you get that email from Mass DOT?
Yes, I did.
And do you agree what he just said?
Well, based on the drawing on the screen, there doesn't look like there's enough room to locate a drainage pipe between the easement and the corner of the building to meet DOT's requirement to keep the drainage pipe outside of the easement. And I had not seen a plan from the applicant, demonstrating that. So, that's still a condition I feel that hasn't been met based on the DOT request.
And you said you have a report coming out Friday?
Yes. And I think the only, really the only technical comment that we have related to the drainage system and the wetlands would be, there's a tree located out back in the 25-foot no disturb zone that looks like it's going to be planted. Actually, I think 2 trees. They look like they're going to be planted within the swales, which really isn't a good idea and a good practice. Those trees could get washed out and the root systems could be impacted.
Okay. Any other comments from board members? Mr. Rowan?
No comments from me.
Mr. McMullen?
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Sheehan?
No, I have no comments.
All right, this is going to be my suggestion. And I don't know if anybody will hate it, like it, or whatever. But I think Mr. Hart and Mr. Hanley have to sit down together and see if there is enough room, according to the DOT. And then come back to us with either the reduction of the building well, it doesn't have to be reduction. I'm going to let you 2 guys work it out. Can you handle that? Mr. Hanley? Are you there?
I'm not sure that's me, but yeah, I mean, that's what we do. I mean, we've been trying to do this for quite some time, and we'll continue along with it and try to get something done. I am kind of disappointed. I'm up against it right now. It's August 12th, between appeal periods and everything else that we have. This is a project now. No fault of your own whatsoever, but we did have to deal with kind of the COVID shutdown. Once we apply appeal periods and getting everything up and running, another month is a big deal for us. But I understand what you're saying. I was unaware that we were going to get another technical review letter, and we can look at that on Friday and coordinate back with DPW next week.
Okay, and include Stefania in the conversation, please. I don't know if you
Yep.
meet at the site or not meet at the site, wear a mask or something, I don't know. But I am at the point that I think you guys can work something out. And with the bylaw issue, it's that second issue I saw. I'm gonna have to read up on that bylaw and find out if I'm interpreting it correctly. So with that being said, if there's no more comments, I'll entertain a motion to continue this to our next meeting, which is held on
September 2nd.
September 2nd. I have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. McMillan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ian, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Mr. Hartman.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. Now we're on to agenda item B, notice of intent, James Candela, Pine and Whipple, LLC, 181 Pine Street, Lot 2 of Kenzie Marie Way, map 45, Lot 1, DEP number 3051117. I am going to announce the call-in number one more time before this public hearing. It's 978-771-0819. Okay, is there anyone here for that?
I am Chairman. My name is Matt Hammer with Lamplex Engineering and Surveying. How are you? So the last meeting, it was requested, we continued the last meeting for Lot 2, Lot 3, and Lot 4 because we had not received the DEP file number. And during that meeting, it was also requested for us to show all 3 lots in one overview plan, which we have done. And we also adjusted the tree line with the erosion control, which we've done. I wanted to add that we've been trying to correspond with DEP for Lot 3. We made the filing for Lot 3. The checks had cleared for that lot, and we had left numerous messages with James Freely from Mass DEP, of which we have not received a response for. So we're not going to be able to close Lot 3 tonight. We're going to have to continue that lot. And what we did, we just sent out an additional notice of intent to Mr. Freely, with also copies of the cleared checks that James Andela had written for the filing. And I don't know if Stefania has any correspondence or a way to connect with someone over at Mass DEP, but that's something that we've been chasing down for the last 3 weeks now.
Okay. Stefania.
I can try to reach out to someone too. I know that they're not in the offices right now. So I was told phone is not the best way to communicate with them. So I can try someone else and see if they'll answer my email. One thing I want to know, I do see that you changed the tree line. That's good. I know that this project is being reviewed as a whole through the planning board process. So I don't believe that they've closed to that. So I just want to note, if anything kind of changes, if we close out these projects, you will be required to come back for some type of change. So just keep that in mind. So I don't know if there's significant changes that might happen in the future, but you'll have to come back to this board.
Yes, we understand that. We don't anticipate there's going to be any changes to the grading of the houses. We've been doing modifications specifically related to the roadway itself.
Okay. Now, do we have Mr. Hartman's report for stormwater?
Mr. Chair, we're still in the process of reviewing based on the most recent revisions to the stormwater plan. We should have that finalized by midday on Friday.
Day on Friday. And that's for all three? Just so I don't have to keep you on the line?
That's for the entire subdivision project, yes.
Okay, now we having an issue with a drainage down there? A blockage somewhere?
The town system on the other side of Pine Street has experienced a blockage in one of the old pipes that the highway division is working on. But I will note that the stormwater system for the proposed subdivision does not discharge any runoff to Pine Street. So it will not impact that drainage system.
Okay. Board members, any questions?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make note that last meeting I recused myself from this, and I am still recusing myself from these discussions. Thank you.
What about that? Mr. McMullen?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
So we're still at a standstill with this because we don't have the stormwater report. Is that the right way to do it, Stefania?
So that's kind of what I was meaning by, though for Conservation Commission, they applied as 3 single lots. So technically the stormwater is not reviewed under the notice of intent for single family homes. But if it is being reviewed as a whole through the planning board process, if anything changes with that stormwater or anything else, if it affects the notice of intents that were applied for this board, they'll have to come back. So, it might make sense to wait, but I'll let Matt Hammer speak to what they want to do.
Yeah, so the individual notice of intent filings are, in our mind, specific to the houses shown, the grading, in the limit of clearing in the rear of the lots. And we don't anticipate that those limit of clearings are going to change. We most certainly will be providing Stefania a copy of the final drainage report when that gets completed. But the drainage system is not on the 3 subject properties themselves. So I don't believe that the drainage system is going to affect the development of the 3 lots.
Okay. This is a public hearing. The room is 978-771-0819. If anybody's on the line, Brian, let me know.
We have no callers, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add, when you look at the overview plan, you'll notice that 100-foot buffer on the rear of the lots. And it's just in the rear portion of the lots where that disturbance is within that 100-foot buffer. So what I'm trying to say is that the whole roadway part of the development is approximately 150 feet or more away from the wetland.
Okay. All right, Stefana, any issues?
Any what?
Issues?
No.
Okay. All right, board members.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a caller on the line.
Okay. If you can just introduce yourself for the record.
Hi, this is Robin and Jim Whalen at 1 Pine Street. How are you?
Good, yourself.
We're well. I just wanted to, I want to thank everyone. We did have some issues with our drain pipe. We're there. Residents of Tewksbury that have a problem with our drainage pipe. with the blockage, and we did experience some flooding in our basement. We've been here for 20 years, and the from the drain system and pumps, but we had issues up until recent. So I just want to say that, you know, that this is for the building of this development. And I know that the town engineer, and we're working I live Hartman as well. For the big shift to be there, because, you know, with the basement storm system, pocket 181 actually was cleaned out on June 11th, and it actually overflowed June 21st on Father's Day, and it was overflowing and flooding all the way in. So the grading of the street itself is actually a problem. I know that you guys have put in a system and say it's not going to directly affect the basins, but the slope of the street itself goes directly into our property.
Okay. Is Mr. Hartman still on the line? And I think he had stated that these lots will not affect, although the runoff is not coming from these properties. Am I correct?
I'm still here, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So as the project is designed and proposed by the applicant, the stormwater from the site will not be discharged out onto Pine Street, according to their design.
Okay, so it's nowhere near that blocked pipe?
It is, but there, like I said, there will be no discharge from the proposed subdivision to Pine Street. And we have regulations that do not allow that to happen, which is why it's been designed that way.
Okay, that answers my question.
Can I just ask, what about the grading of the street itself? The street that's going to be built, the slope of the street is going to go down onto Pine Street, correct?
No, it is not. It's going to go away from Pine Street.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Hardeman. All right. So, board members, would anybody like to make a motion? I think I lost everybody. I'm not hearing anybody. Hello?
We're here. Go ahead,
Okay.
you want to make the motion, Pat?
You guys are more than welcome to make the motion. Well, actually, I'll entertain a motion to approve notice of intent James Indella, Pine and Whipple LLC, 181 Pine Street, Lot 2, Kenzie Marie Way, Map 45, Lot 1, DEP number 3051117.
Pat,
Yeah.
we do have to close the public hearing.
Public hearing, that's right. Brian, there's nobody else on the line?
No other callers, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote? I mean, Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to approve notice for 10 James Indella, Pine and Whipple LLC, 181 Pine Street, Lot 2 of Kenzie Marie Way, Map 45, Lot 1, DEP number 3051117. Have a motion to that effect.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, who's making the motion? Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
And Mr. McMullen, are you seconding it?
Yes.
Okay, chair votes aye as well. That one's all set. Okay, next up is item C, continued from 7:15 public hearing notice for 10 James Indella, Pine and Whipple LLC, 181 Pine Street, Lot 3, Kenzie Marie Way, Map 45, Lot 1, DEP, pending. Anyone here for that? Mr. Hammer, I think you muted yourself. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that, Chairman. Thank you. Matt Hammer, Lamplex Engineering. We'd like to continue that matter until we receive the DEP file number from the DEP.
Okay, well, it's on the agenda and it is a public hearing. 978-771-0819 for call-in. We'll wait 30 seconds or so, Brian, and let me know if we have any callers.
We have no callers, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I need a motion to continue. Hello? Oh, I thought somebody said something. A motion to continue public hearing. Notice of intent, James Andela, Pine and Whipple, LLC, 181 Pine Street, Lot 3 of Kenzie Marie Way, Map 45, Lot 1, DEP number pending. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, okay. Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, that's continued to September 2nd.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and everyone have a nice evening. Thank you.
Wait, where are you going?
Oh, I thought you did Lot 4 too already, so.
Okay. This is a notice, item D, continued from 7/15/2020, public hearing, notice of intent, James Andela, Pine and Whipple, LLC, 181 Pine Street, Lot 4, from Mackenzie Marie Way, map 45, Lot 1, DEP number 305-1116. Is there anyone here for that?
I am Chairman Matt Hammer, Lamplex Engineering. Similar to our prior discussion for Lot 2, we've revised the plans accordingly, and we do have a DEP file number.
Okay. Stefania, any issues?
No issues, just the same comments for lot number 1. That's it.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Phone number is 978-771-0819. Is there anyone on the phone for this?
We have no callers, Mr. Chairman.
Let's give it a second, just in case. All right. I'm going to entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hammer.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
I'm sorry. We do have to make
We
a
have to make.
motion to approve.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the notice of intent of James Andela, Pine and Whipple LLC, 181 Pine Street, Lot 4, Mackenzie Way, map 45, Lot 1, DEP number 305-1116, with a standard order of conditions. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, that one's all set. Item E is a public hearing request for determination of applicability, James and Tracy Holden, 681 Sheen Street, map 97, lot 137. Is there anyone here for that?
Mr. Chairman, Dick Cuco here for the applicant. Can you hear me? Because I have no video.
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. Share my screen with you if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the property is located at 681 Shawsheen Street, pretty much parallel to Wyndham Street, and we abut the East Brook in the back here, and the wetland line is roughly about in this location. What we're proposing to do is to construct an in-ground swimming pool in the backyard of the property, but this particular portion of the property is within the 100-year floodplain. But we don't feel we have any negative impact on the floodplain because we're going to have the pool at the exact elevation that the ground is now, And if I go to my third screen, I prepared a little cross-section for you. The blaze flood elevation is elevation 87, which is up here.
I don't think your screen is showing.
No, I'm not seeing it. I got the plan here though, so.
Not sharing. Oh, God. When are we going to get back to being live? You can't see this?
No, we can't see it, Mr. Cuco, but I have the plan right here. You can just,
Okay. Well, on the cross-section sheet, what I've shown is that the proposed pool, Tracy, you might be able to get it up on your screen, but the proposed pool is at the grade of the backyard now. And obviously, if the yard flooded, it's a pool, and the pool would have water in it anyways. So we're not displacing any flood storage whatsoever with the construction of the pool in this particular location. So I hope it's clear. I wish I had my.
I'm sorry,
Thank
Dick,
you.
I'm not allowed to share content, it says, otherwise I could try to help. It says that I don't have permission.
Does anybody have any questions about what I tried to explain? You have the plans in front of you. I'll try to do it old-fashioned way. Stefania was out on the site. She might be able to chime in.
Yes, I did go out to the site. So as long as there's no grade changes, there should be no issues with the filling of the floodplain, and they won't have to provide comp flood storage. One thing I will just request is that no fill is stockpiled on the site. And if it is needed to be stockpiled, it should be stockpiled outside of the floodplain if there's a spot.
Yeah, nope, we don't have a problem with that. And just so that you would have a comfort level, Stefania, is in order to get an occupancy permit for the pool, we have to submit an as-built to the building department. And on that as-built, we'll show the grades to ensure that you're comfortable that we didn't displace any flood storage.
Okay.
Okay. Board members.
Mr. Chairman, I'm good. It looks like a nice little project.
I agree, no questions.
No questions.
Okay. Then I have no question. This is a public hearing. What's that phone number? Okay, it's a public hearing. The public call number is 978-771-0819. Let me know if we have any callers, Brian.
We have no callers as of now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Just give it a second. All right. I'll entertain a motion for a negative determination. Oh, actually, got to close the public hearing. Of a motion to close the public hearing for the requested determination of applicability, James and Tracy Holden, 681 Shawshene Street, map 97, lot 137.
So moved.
Second.
Have a second. Okay. Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Mr. Kuko. Well, we're not done yet. Now I'm going to entertain a motion for a negative determination for James and Tracy Holden, 681 Shawshene Street, map 97, lot 137. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Mr. Kuko.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, board members.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is item F, public hearing request for determination of applicability, Ginsburg Realty Group LLC, 180 Pond Street. Map 30, Lot 64. This applicant is requesting a continuance to September 2nd, 2020. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. Roman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, item G, public hearing, notice of intent, Town of Tewksbury, Molly Drive, Hill Street. Map 97, Lot 1, DEP number pending. Okay, is there anyone here for that?
Yes, Don Kirkland from EnviroTrack.
Okay, Don, you by
Also,
yourself?
Mr. Chair, Chair.
All right, floor is yours, gentlemen.
All right. The property in question is located adjacent to Main Street, Hill Street. Tewksbury. It is to the about 50 feet from the riverbank. It dumping of various items, including scrap, railroad ties, and undocumented fill. Mass Department of Environmental did an inspection and to come out, and environmental consultants to come out. Is one assessment and possibly actually collected soil samples. Fall of 2019, and they found, among other things, that there was impacts to soil underneath contamination gate and make sure that we knew the lateral extents of this contamination, and then to excavate and dispose of that soil. We put together the NOI in front of you because this site is located, the northern end of the excavation is located about 10 feet from the wetland boundary and about 50 feet from the river. In total, the project, the excavated area is about 27 feet running east-west. And we would need to dig a total depth of approximately 6 inches for the entire excavation, and then in one small portion, we would need to go down about 18 inches. Total volume would be under 30 cubic yards of soil. Very quickly, if you'll permit me another minute, the way that we would conduct this work is we would bring in a mini excavator, and that mini excavator would excavate out the area in question, live load it onto a pickup truck with a dumping capability, and bring that soil and stockpile it adjacent to the Knights of Columbus parcel, but on the actual parcel itself, on the Molly Drive, the town-owned parcel. That soil would be placed on top of and underneath poly sheeting, and the excavation would be left open for approximately 1 week while we awaited for soil quality results from a laboratory that would determine whether or not we removed all impacted soil. At that time, if the results came back positive, we would contract with someone to remove the soil, transport it, and dispose of it, and then bring in clean fill and replace the soil that had been removed. Currently, there is no vegetation in this location, no grass, no scrub brush, but we would probably, after we put the clean fill in, we would probably throw some grass seed down just to stabilize the area. We put together a stormwater report in support of the NOI because we would be leaving that excavation open for a week, and we were we were a little nervous in case there was a large rain event, that there may be some stormwater impacts to the river and to the wetland. So in that stormwater report, we recommended putting down straw wattles or silt fence on the down gradient on the riverside of the excavation itself. And that is the extent of this project.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'm going to read the phone number again, 978-771-0819, if there's anybody that wants to call in. Stefania, any issues?
No issues. I just have a few questions. For access, will it just be the mini excavator that's accessing the site, or will any other vehicles or anything need to get in there? And is there any impacts associated with the access? So is any vegetation going to need to be removed to actually get to the site?
So in addition to the mini excavator, there would need to be a pickup truck sized vehicle that would be going back and forth that we would be live loading the soil into. So nothing larger than a standard vehicle, 7.5 feet wide. As far as brush that would need to be cleared, I believe my boss has explained to me that the town would send someone out and clear a small path in to the area that would require just cutting a few vines and a few small bushes out of the way in order for us to have a clear path in and out.
Okay, anything else, Stefan?
And the other question I had is the soil going back in. So if the tests come back that the levels are not too high, will the soil just be put right back in? And kind of second question, if soil's brought from another site, where does it come from?
No soil would go back in. Any soil that was
Okay.
taken out would be disposed of because that has been deemed to be impacted. The soil coming in would just be provided by a local earthwork contractor that provides clean fill to anyone that would need it.
You good, Stefania?
Yeah, those are my only questions.
Okay, Mr. Sheehan, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Ronan, any questions?
I just have a quick question. The railroad ties, though it's just a pile or a former pile of them, it wasn't ever a former track, railroad track that went through the area or anything?
Doesn't appear to be. It looks like someone dumped approximately 15 railroad ties into a pile, into a very small footprint. And I should have mentioned, I apologize for this, the railroad ties are being disposed of as well. So the soil and the railroad ties would be removed.
Yeah, so I'm just concerned there's no possibility that it's going to actually extend further out in any direction. It doesn't seem like that's the issue, though.
We conducted supplemental soil sampling in addition to those performed in the fall of 2009 by Watermark. And we found that we were able to define the extents of the excavation, both north, south, and east, west.
All right. Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. McMullen, any questions?
I think only one. Mr. Kirkland, have you collected any data below that 1.5 foot from existing grade?
We did. We collected 2-foot samples from select locations, and we did not find either arsenic or the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Okay,
and have other parameters been analyzed as well?
Yes, we collected waste characterization samples because they're required from the disposal facility.
Okay.
And those ranged from volatile organics, PCBs, pesticides, herbicides. And,
COM97?
Yes. And there were no other impacts, just arsenic and just the semi-volatile organics.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kirkland. No further
You're welcome.
questions.
Okay, again, this was a public hearing. Anybody interested in speaking, please dial 978-771-0819. I think I'm dreaming that.
I will make one more just comment. I didn't see a DEP number. I don't know if Mr. Kirkland got one.
We
I
have
haven't
applied for
received
one.
it.
We have
Okay,
applied
but
for
we
one.
don't have one. Okay. All right.
When we receive it, you will be the first to get it.
Mr. Chair, if I could, this is Kevin Hartman, Town Engineer. So just to give the commission a little background on this project, I've been working with our conservation agent as well as DEP on this site for probably 2 years now. It's part of the Sutton Brook landfill, the settlement money that the town was given as a result of the former Rocco's landfill closure. And this is a site that we're actually looking to remediate, in that we want to remove all the historic fill, the debris and everything that's on it. And in that process of reviewing it, this was the one area that we found that had contamination that we had to act on. But ultimately, we're looking to come back in the future and really remediate this entire area and restore it back to its natural condition prior to the filling. I will say that this site was deeded to the town as open space in conjunction with the Molly Drive subdivision. So, I just kind of want to highlight the fact that, subdivisions come in and they're required to provide open space that has a benefit to the town. But in instances like this, it also creates a liability for the town because the town has now had to spend, tens of thousands of dollars for this remediation for something that was gifted to them. And I just wanted to kind of bring that to the commission's attention as to what we're trying to do ultimately with this site is to really clean the whole thing up over the course of the next several years. Thank you.
Okay. Any callers, Brian?
No callers, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I know this is going to sound a little unorthodox, but I know that Stefania, I know you don't like us to do it without a DEP number, but I don't want to have them to have to wait a month or a month and a half or whatever it is.
You cannot close it out without one.
You can't.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. So I guess we're going to have to continue to the 2nd of September. Any other suggestions? Hearing none. I will make a motion to continue notice of intent, Town of Tewksbury, Molly Drive, Hill Street, map 97, lot 1, till September 2nd. Our next meeting. Can I have a motion to that effect?
No move.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right. Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. All right. Public hearing, request to amend order conditions. John Minado, 371 Foster Road, map 57, lot 207, DEP number 3051104. Is there anyone here for that? Is there anyone here for?
Good.
Is there anyone here for this?
I do see that Steve Erickson's here.
Okay.
I wonder if he's having issues.
Okay. The only one going to be here for that? Because we can skip over and go to the next one.
Believe so.
Brian, is he on mute or anything? Are you getting any?
I just unmuted him. Looks like he has his hand raised. I'm going to try to see if I can help him in the chat.
Okay, well, you're helping him with chat. I'm going to skip over to the next one, and as soon as he comes back, you let us know. Okay, I'm going to skip. Is he back?
Oh, no, sorry. I was just saying I'll do that.
Okay, I'm going to skip to item I, public hearing, request for termination of applicability. Clary Kutu, Keolis Community Service, Director of ENV Railroad Right-of-Way. Is there anyone here for that?
I know Matt Donovan, he's here for that. I don't know if he's having issues.
Okay, we're going to try it one more time. And what was the gentleman's name?
Matt Donovan.
Maddie, can you hear us? Okay, Brian, you're going to have to do the same for Mr. Donovan.
Will do.
Okay. And person for the Erickson guy still hasn't shown up yet, correct? Okay, let's go on to item J, enforcement order ratification. Domingo Cadamine and Maria Suarez, 195 Astor Street, map 10, lot 28. Okay, Stefania, you want to fill us in?
Yes. So let me get that. Okay. An enforcement order was issued. There was grading and some filling within the buffer zone. Before I had actually gone out there, they had already had the wetlands flagged. So they kind of knew where the BVW had ended. And so as you can see, I provided some pictures of what it looked like when I went out there. It doesn't look like there was a lot of fill that was in the wetland itself. There was a little bit of fill that might have went over, but a lot of it was really just buffer zone, no disturb zone impacts. So as you can see in my enforcement order, there's conditions that I had put on there that they had to follow, and I can just get those. So the first one was to install the erosion control, and they did that, and I went out and I inspected that on Monday, and the erosion control looks good. The next will be to remove the fill within the buffer zone and return it to original grades, and then take out any sediment from the wetland area by hand. And I had said to do that by September 3rd. And then schedule an inspection with myself. And then the third one is to demarcate the no disturb zone once the fill is removed and let the area revegetate. And then again, that needed to be done by September 3rd. And the commission would have to review the revegetation of the buffer zone, of the no disturb zone, before they returned it to compliance. So the commission will have to ratify this enforcement order, and if they want to, they can amend it and add additional conditions or create their own conditions.
Okay, board member, Mr. Shannon. Anything, Mr. Sheehan?
I'm looking at it now. Okay.
Mr. McMullen, anything?
Nope, I'm all set.
Mr. Ronan?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
And I just. So the only thing I would add to the enforcement is a inspection date for the next growing season, maybe.
Okay, so after the revegetation, or I guess after it's removed, the fill is removed.
Right.
Okay.
The only thing I would have. Okay, this is not a public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to ratify the enforcement order for Domingos, Me, and Maria Suarez, 195 Astral Street, map 10, lot 28. Motion to that effect.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. I am going to go back, Brian. We're going to go back to item H. Is Mr. Erickson aboard yet?
Mr. Erickson is going to leave and come back in. I believe Matt Donovan is there. If not,
Okay.
I have a phone number for him.
Let's go into Mr. Donovan. So that's going to be public hearing, first determination of applicability. Clary Cochu, Pillars Commuter Service, Director of ENV Railroad Right of Way. Is there anyone here for that?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to give his number a call.
Hello, this is Matt Donovan.
Hello, Matt.
Yeah.
I'm
Hey guys, sorry about that. I can't figure out the audio. I'm here now if you'd like me to start presenting.
Yeah, go right ahead. Can everybody hear him? I can't hear very well.
There's a lot of background noise.
Yeah.
That I'm hearing.
That's all I'm hearing. Mr. Donovan, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Can everybody hear Mr. Donovan right now?
Yes, I can hear.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Donovan, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I'm Matt Donovan from FTC Engineers. I'm the representative for Keolis. The RDA was submitted to the commission as required by CMR 11 and specific sections of CMR 10, which require us to submit delineated maps of the railroad right-of-way to the conservation commissions to confirm the boundaries of the resource areas are accurate. These requirements are part of a five-year vegetation management plan, which is designed and required to manage and control vegetation necessary to keep the railroad safe. The plan is heavily regulated on all levels, from federal to state to municipal, and as it's executed, great measures are taken to keep sensitive areas protected. And as part of the five-year vegetation management plan, your commission, the Board of Health, the Board of Selectmen, and the Department of Agricultural Resources are supplied annually with the yearly operational plan, which is consistent with the five-year program and goes into detail about the vegetation management activities for each year throughout the duration of the five-year period. So in Tewksbury, the railroad only crosses a small sliver of the town of Tewksbury, and you can see that in the maps that we provided. I was going to share my screen with you, but I'm not I'm just on the phone now. But everything on as far as vegetation management activities and plans can be found at ftcerailroadvegetation.com. That's in the RDA submission as well. So if ever you guys want to keep updated with that throughout useful tool. So if you were to look at the maps, the vegetation management plan it's made up of an integrative approach method where we use chemicals and mechanical methods to control the vegetation, but the maps that we provided you with are specifically made for the application of herbicides along the railroad, and they're depicted with no spray zones and limited spray zones. These maps almost never change. We do update them annually to make sure that there aren't any changes. And if it did call for it, we would make the necessary changes. But since the last time your commission has confirmed these maps, I can confirm that no changes have been made. So the railroad tracks in the field are marked with markings, just as the maps are shown in the blue and yellow areas, which depict the restricted zones. And as the applicator rides along in the truck, there's a environmental monitor who's a direct employee of Keolis's environmental team in the truck to advise him where to spray. And the environmental monitor will always have the maps on hand when they're doing this. And extra care is taken in the blue areas, which is limited spray areas. And for the blue areas, more effort is put into controlling the vegetation with physical and mechanical measures, and we try to limit the spray there. And no yellow zone will ever receive any form of herbicide application. So yeah, those are the maps. As you can see, it's just a little sliver through your town. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask.
Okay. Stefania, any issues?
I have a few questions. So, is it possible to get more detailed maps? Just especially for the second map, the western route main line. It's pretty zoomed out. You can't really see where the wetlands are on that map. And then on the New Hampshire main line map, I will note that there is a wetland that I can tell is missing from here. So there's a wetland on 395 Woburn Street, and I don't see that is noted on these plans. So if we could get more detailed maps, and then that addition of that wetland for sure would be helpful. That would be good. And I do want to say I did listen in on kind of a webinar about this today. So it did clarify a lot for me, because it was confusing what this RDA was looking for. So the RDA is looking for us to confirm the wetland boundaries. So what we are looking to do is to say that the wetland boundaries they supplied to us are correct. I will say I haven't done a site visit, so I cannot confirm that they are correct. I think I have to take a safety course to be able to go out on site. A lot of commissions will just look at the maps and base it off of that. And so from what I could tell from the webinar, we would be looking to issue a positive determination 2A for an accurate boundary and a negative determination 5 to say that the vegetation management is exempt. Hopefully that makes sense to the commission.
Doesn't make sense. Clear as mud. All right. Is this a public hearing? It is. I'm going to read the number off one more time. 978-771-0819 for the public to call in if they have any questions or issues. Now I'm going to go back to board members. Mr. Sheehan, any issues?
No questions.
Mr. Ronan?
No questions.
Mr. McMullen?
No questions.
And so we need to, and I have no questions. This is a public utility. So,
Hello, caller?
oh, you have a caller? Do you have a caller, Brian?
I believe we do. Caller, can you please state your name? I believe they got disconnected. I'll try and see if I can get them back on the line.
Okay. Well, we won't close the public hearing for a couple minutes anyways. So, Stefan, we need a positive determination and then a negative determination?
So before that, my recommendation is that we have more detailed maps and that they show the wetland that's missing on 395 Woburn Street, just so, because we are doing the wetland boundaries, so they should be accurate. But when it does come time to issue a determination, it needs to be a positive determination, 2A, and that would just, let me get the,
Or in other words, why can't we just continue it to our next meeting?
yeah, we can. I was just, the question's out there, if they can provide me with more detailed information. I don't know if he's still there.
These maps are a little, I'm blinded as it is, never mind trying to look at this little stuff. Did you get the caller back, Brian?
I was not able to get the caller back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear someone now.
Well, the unmute button doesn't work on my speaker for some reason. I don't know if it's coming through now or not.
It is coming through now, Steve.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
So I should hang up the phone, I assume.
If that was you trying to call in, Steve, yes, please hang up the phone.
Yeah,
it was. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, and there's no other callers from the public, right, Brian?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So Steve, did you understand what Stefania was saying?
I did. My audio was fine. I could hear everything, but I just couldn't speak for some reason.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue this to our next meeting, and you're going to provide us with a, Stefania, what is it that you wanted?
So, well, Steve, we're not on Steve's item. I don't know if Matt is still here.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So I was trying to respond to what you said about there being a wetland on the New Hampshire main line. And that is depicted in there that's why the entirety of the entire tract that goes through Tewksbury is considered a sensitive area, and that's why it's marked as a blue zone. There's not a single area in your town that isn't restricted. So that's where the maps are, and if you look in the vegetation management plan, which I would be sharing my screen with you, but the limited spray zones are clearly detailed in the vegetation management plan in section 8, and it'll tell you why they're sensitive areas. And like you said, on 395 Woburn Street, there's a wetland, and we do account for that in these maps.
Any comments, Stefania?
I don't see it, but I guess that's my only comment.
So I'm going to go with you need a better map depicting the wetlands. The question was,
This map is identical to what we've submitted to you. And this is the operator has used this map for, the operator has been spraying over 20 years on the railroad. It's the same operator who's uses these maps, and that's how the tracks are delineated in the field. So this is exactly what the conditions are in the field. So that's really where the RDA is trying to determine.
Okay, Stefania, any issues with what he just said?
Yes. So I guess the point of this RDA is to determine accurate wetland boundaries. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that these wetland boundaries are accurate because I can't really see them. And I understand that this is for vegetation management for the MBTA. But it's, I mean, we're not really looking at anything on these maps. Specifically, 395 Woburn Street was a project that came before the Conservation Commission a few years ago with the wetland delineated, and it's across the tracks from where that large wetland is delineated on your plans. So I don't see it. So I don't know if this application is to delineate accurate wetlands. I think we should make sure that we have those on the plans.
Okay. And there's no public callers, 978-771-019. If there's nobody on the line, I'm going to refer to the board. And so we're basically going to request a wetlands map, correct?
Yeah, just even more detailed, like a zoomed in version with the additional wetlands that I had spoken about.
Okay. Are you still there?
Yeah, so you said it's a new wetland. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so 395 Woburn Street, it was a few years ago that it came before the commission.
Okay, because that area is all restricted to sensitive areas as is. So, but we will, if it's a new wetland, we can definitely look into that.
Okay. So, board members, Mr. Sheehan, anything?
No questions.
Mr. Ronan, anything?
No questions.
Mr. McMullen? Mr. McMullen? I can barely hear him. So, I'm going to request to make a motion to have this continue to us. Entertain a motion to continue to our September 2nd meeting with the requirements that the applicant bring back a better detailed wetland boundary map. Is that what you want, Stefania? You there, Stefania?
Yes.
Is that what you're requesting?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Donovan, we'll see you at our next meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, now we're on to did Steve Erickson from is he back?
Yes, Steve is back. Can you hear me?
Okay, Steve is back. Okay, we're going to bounce back to you for the request for a minute order of conditions, John. Mangano, 371 Foster Road, map 57, lot 207, DEP number 3051104. This is a public hearing, and I'll announce again, the phone number is 978-771-0819 for anybody that's interested in calling in. Okay, the floor is yours, Mr. Erickson. Please introduce yourself.
All right, my name is Steve Erickson from North Environmental Services. We have a order of conditions for this property. Virtually all of the property is within the 200-foot riverfront area. But the order of conditions allows us to take down the existing home, put up a new home, and we had a porch on it. We're looking to add a second porch on the side of the property, and that will be an additional 168 square feet of disturbance. So the total disturbance on the property is 7,598 square feet, or 8.5% of the riverfront disturbance, below the 10% performance standard. And in fact, we are redeveloping part of the property by getting rid of the existing development. So it's a pretty minor change. We have the porch proposed 49 feet from the wetland. It's a 12 by 14 porch, as opposed to your 50-foot no disturb. But we're removing the existing dwelling and a lot of other stuff that was much closer to the wetland in prior years.
Okay. Stefania, any issues?
No, I don't have any issues. I mean, the enclosed porch is 49 feet from the wetland, as he says, but it comes to 0.08% in the no build zone. And they did take a lot of things out of the no disturb zone and the no build zone with the redevelopment. And they meet the riverfront area disturbance. So I'm okay with all of that.
Okay. All right. This is not a public hearing, so. All right. Board members, any questions?
This is a public hearing.
It is a public hearing?
Yes, because it's an amended order of conditions.
Oh, I did that. I announced the number already, right? 978-771-0819. Brian, do we have any callers?
We have no callers, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'm going to assume that nobody is going to call for this. Board members, no questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
No questions.
Okay. I have no questions. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request for the amended order of conditions for John Mangano, 371 Foster Road, map 57, lot 207, DEP number 3051104. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much, Eric.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, so now we're scooting back over here. We did that one. Okay, emergency certification ratification. Bill Roper, 95 Bridge Street, map 98, lot 120. Stefania, I'm assuming this is a septic?
Yes.
Okay. Board members, any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
No questions.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion ratify the emergency certification for Bill Roper, 95 Bridge Street, map 98, lot 120.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Now we're on to L, emergency certification ratification. Cliff Water and Sewer, 41 New Mexico Road, map 82, lot 6. I'm assuming this is another sewer, Stefania?
Yes.
Okay. No issues? Okay, board members, any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
questions.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to ratify the emergency certification for Cliff Water and Sewer, 41 New Mexico Road, map 82, lot 6. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, item M, emergency certification ratification, Cliff Water and Sewer, 90 Ridge Drive, map 7, lot 65. I'm assuming this is another sewer?
Yes.
Okay, no issues?
No.
Okay, board members, any issues?
No questions.
Oh,
No questions.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to ratify the emergency certification of Cliff Water and Sewer, 90 Ridge Drive, map 7, lot 65.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Now we're on to item N, emergency certification ratification, Beaver Solutions LLC, Pond Street, map 30, lot 16, and 765 Whipple Road, map 31, lot 57. Okay, I'm assuming this was a unclog a beaver dam.
Yeah, to breach 2 beaver dams.
Okay. Any issues, Stephanie?
No.
I shouldn't say any issues. You have any solutions for these guys?
No.
Board members, Mr. Sheehan, anything?
No questions.
Mr. Ronan?
My only quick question is the one that seems to be on the south. Is that where the fishing spot is, like that area
On
Pond Street?
Pond Street, yes. So that's like
Oh.
right across from April's Way. There's a culvert over there.
All right.
And there's a beaver dam near there.
All right. That's it for me.
Okay, Mr. McMullen, you have anything?
No questions.
Okay, and I have no questions. Now I'm going to entertain a motion to ratify the emergency certification, Beaver Solutions LLC, Pond Street, map 30, lot 16 and 765 Whipple Road, map 31, lot 57. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay. Last. Okay, request for determination of applicability, Boston Gas Company, 50 Chapman Road, map 18, lot 102. It looks like we closed the public hearing, but we didn't take a vote, Stefania?
Correct.
Okay, so we need to make a motion to approve
An issue. I believe you wanted to issue a negative determination, but it was never done.
all right. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to for negative determination for Boston Gas Company, 50 Chapman Road, map 18, lot 102. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Roman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Do we have any old business?
No.
Well, getting back, I have the whole business, and that is, have we posted the job for the 5th member yet?
It's been posted, yeah.
No, I haven't seen it. Okay. Have we had any inquiries?
Not that I've been told.
Okay. Any new business? Does anybody else have any other old business? I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
Okay. Hearing none. Any new business?
No,
Okay, administrative report.
I don't have anything.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
No more.
Second.
Okay, Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan?